we have for Vice President, Mark Bello.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mark Bello, and I'm running for Vice President. I'm running for 3 reasons, 3 lessons that I learned throughout the year as an officer. The first is guidance. It's a lesson in guidance. This year was my first year as an officer, especially like stepping into an executive board position. I knew what was expected of me, but I didn't know how much it would stretch me, how much I could put into FOSSA. It goes without saying that the guidance that I received from returning officers, members, and our advisors and our alumni especially, are what really kept me together. They helped me focus on what was important to me in FOSSA, in my engagement in FOSSA, and what I wanted to leave FOSSA with, assuming that I was a 1 and out member, that I'm not coming back. As the only returning officer, I want to be that guidance for next year's group, for next year's member base, for alumni, for everyone. Because without that guidance, I would have been lost. And I don't want you to feel lost, because this is your home. The second is a lesson in leadership. Not so much gaining the title of a leader, but acting like a leader. Everyone here is a leader because you influence each other, both negative and positive, but you're leading each other. This year we tried on new ways, new concepts, new events and opportunities that our members could take part of. And in my mind, they all succeeded. They all succeeded because the 12 other officers that were there in that room transformed for one another. We practiced the most powerful form of leadership and changed to meet the needs of our fellow officers and our members, and in extension, our community. I want to be there next year to kind of keep that type of leadership going, because it was a combination of the guidance and the leadership that we practiced that really made this group cohesive and what made this group successful. The third and final reason is, it's not a lesson, but it's just a reason. It's because of all of you. This room is only a small fraction of what the Filipino-American community is outside of these walls. But in this room, I've seen community leaders, community members grow. All of the 10 community chairs that came up here today, and Jermaine, they answered the call. Your community needed you, and you said, I'm here. And I love being a part of that growth. I love seeing you find what you're passionate about in this community, because this community helped me find mine, which is serving you. So I want to be your vice president to nurture our momentum in the next year. Stealing Northwest Gospel Conference. But I want to help our members and our officers grow into their potential as the leaders they are already into their respective positions. And most importantly, I want to be a catalyst for change in the community. Whether that be through events, workshops, anything. I just want to be there because I love this community so much. Because FOSSA to me is a pathway to endless opportunities. And we have so much to offer to one another, and it's our duty to give it to one another. It's really annoying. One of the initiatives that I want to start next year, it kind of stems from something we started this year but never really took hold, is an officer-member relationship outside of general meetings. And it's not one officer knows 70 officers or members. It's one officer knows 4 or 5 members, and they take them out and get to know them build meaningful relationships and get to know them and maybe help them get into the leadership position in FOSSA. And that's because that's what we do. We create leaders. Any questions? I'll ask Bree.
So how come you didn't run for president, and why did you run for vice president instead?
So, that was actually one of the questions I asked. I didn't run for president for the sole basis of, I'm more of an internal guy. I do have the skills to reach out to the community and be involved in the community, but when it gets down to it, I work best with helping others help the community. And that's where my strengths lie. I like helping people find their way to influence others rather than me and then everyone. So, and to Lily.
You wanted to be a change agent in the community, so what initiatives, besides the current officer, mentoring future leaders, what other initiatives outside in the community do you feel you'd like to focus on?
So one of the things that I've been working on this year is sort of a professional development program. And I've been trying to get the community involved, but so far it's only encompassed the University of Washington campus. But in the future, it is my dearest hope that either I or someone else can take the reins from that and just branch out to all the other communities, the Filipino community in Seattle, high school communities, everyone. And you don't even have to be Filipino to be part of it. I mean, like, everyone in general. So.
Are you talking about like career mentoring?
That was part that it's a combination of the career mentoring that I started in October and also culminating into kind of another facet of PF. So. Who are you third? Is that a shock?
Alright, so most likely you're probably going to be the guy, right? Maybe. Maybe. I mean, of course, there's not going to be no shoe-ins in this type of election because that's not what it's for. But, I mean, how are you going to fill these spots, you know? I mean, you're talking about you being more like introvert and whatnot. Vice president is kind of like the president.
Right.
You know, you have the vice, but you just feel that president. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So is the question to how am I going to fill the spaces, or?
What are you going to do? You have a big job ahead of you. What are you going to do, huh?
So I'm fully aware of what the president's position entails. If out of the two things that I was nominated, or three things I was nominated as president, vice president, but I believe that our community has a lot of talent, and there's a lot of people in here that I know could fit the role of treasurer or vice president or president, but the fact is that they're just, it's not the fact that they're busy, but it's just that they're needed somewhere else. But there's always someone that'll step up, because I truly believe that someone will step up.
Like you, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's needed of me, then I will step up, because that's in my nature, to fill the gap. Then Austin.
As the only returning officer, I feel like on hand, or having information from past years on hand was really helpful, but as the only returning officer, that's not going to be there. So how do you plan on maintaining the almost 100-year legacy that FOSSA's had on campus without other past officers in the room with you every week?
Right. So, I was aware that I wasn't aware of me being the only one running again until Monday night. So one of the things that I asked of the officers that are leaving, like the current officers, is that they at least are available for me to call on them, because they're still going to be here. There's going to be juniors, seniors. They're still going to be here on campus, and regardless, they're not going away. They're going to be members. At least I hope they are. But they're going to be here, and one of the things that I hope to kind of alleviate that, or to kind of fill that gap, is just to get them really acquainted with their role so that they don't feel in the dark in any moment. Daniel.
So speaking more about your role internally, Vice President, much like President, is a position that requires you to, number one, be able to manage people, manage that core group of committee chairs and your executive board. And number two, be able to step back and kind of look at the big picture and be able to organize everything around FLASA's mission and goal. So personally, what strategies do you have or have you developed either through your past years of leadership in FLASA or through other things that allow you to maintain that cohesion within the officer group and at the same time create it, revolve it around the essence of FLASA?
Right. So as I said in my speech, I firmly believe that the most powerful form of leadership, training, leadership in general, is transformative leadership. And it's not so much it's not transactional where I tell them what to do or whatever, but it's more of building each other and bouncing off each other and coming to solutions together rather than this is my solution, do it. That's just one of my strategies, just to keep instilling that transformational type of leadership in our officers, because that's what has really proven to work for me. John?
I would agree with you that transformational leadership is probably one of the most productive forms of leadership development, but there will come times when you have to adopt a more managerial style of leadership just because of time constraints or other situations that might call for it. So can you give an example or two of times when you've taken that approach as opposed to a more transformational approach to leadership?
Well, the first example that comes to mind is kind of just our officer meetings. And, a lot of times we can get caught up in one event and not so much pay attention to the others or get sidetracked or anything. I've often found myself kind of acting like in the vice presidential role as well, of just keeping us on track. And I've noticed that it kind of gets on the nerves of other officers, so I feel like that's a good thing, because if if they don't like you, then you're probably doing something right. Any more questions? Oh, okay, I feel like you extended that forever.